Lane 6, Jenny McIlvaine from Craftsbury, and Lane 7 is Rihanna McCormick from Seattle.
Again, I expect this one will be a pretty exciting race. As we saw before, the lightweight men's double was pretty exciting. Again, not that heavyweight racing is not exciting. We just saw the really good men's U19 single be pretty competitive all the way through. As I mentioned before, lightweight racing, all these athletes will have had to weigh in every day they race. So that means at least today, in a single, I would expect maybe they've gone through semis. They've certainly come through heats. So they've done it at least once earlier this week, and I believe it's 59 kilos for the women's lightweight.
I know two of these athletes. We've got Kira and Sarah are both competing in that U21 Trans-Tasman Regatta in about 2 weeks.
It is, again, exciting to have those athletes here competing at the Royal Canadian Henley Regatta.
They are off, and it looks like some people have gotten quite a good jump on that start. So let's see who hangs in there as we get through the first 100 meters. Last year's winner was Mima Okuda-Refuse from Leander Boat Club in Hamilton. Mima is currently traveling to Shanghai. She's competing for Team Canada at the FISU Regatta in the lightweight women's double.
That, I think, just goes to show and speak to the caliber of athlete that tends to succeed here at Royal Canadian Henley. You get a lot of athletes who do go and make the jump from the high-level club competition to continuing the athlete pathway, going after those we see here in this race, the under-21 development team, the FISU program, the under-23 team, and generally just some really high-level competitive club athletes year after year.
Definitely. In this event, for sure, being under 23, a lot of these women will be still students at universities. I know Greta Chase rose for Queen's, Kira rose for the University of Western Ontario, Christy rose for the University of Pittsburgh, Sarah Craven rode for the University of Victoria, Jenny McIlvaine, she has been rowing since the age of 11, so she's quite experienced, and Rihanna McCormick from Seattle, she won Dad Vales for Boston University this past spring.
So really high level of racing, high caliber and pedigree of athlete in this event as we come through the first 500 meter. That looks to be Sarah Craven, I believe, out of University of Victoria, crossing the first 500.
And looking quite comfortable. She has open water. It looks like over lane 4, which would be Christy Bushman from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's about 3.5 seconds. So yeah, that's about a boat length. And I wouldn't say the rest of the field has really played itself out yet, but Sarah doing a really good job to stick ahead of the field 1/4 of the way through this race.
500 meters in, that's a pretty impressive lead. They are all racing for the Harold and Dorothy Cove Memorial Trophy. The Harold and Dorothy Cove Memorial Trophy was dedicated in 2010 in memory of both Harold and Dorothy. Harold was a former president of the St. Catharines Run Club, and Dorothy was a longtime member of the Henley Island Helpers. The first winner of this trophy was my good friend Alethea Hazaras from Leander Boat Club in Hamilton.
So looking here, we've got the second 500 meter mark, and kind of behind where the camera is, you can see that first 500 meter pylon just in the background there. Looks to me, we were discussing earlier how the water was fairly calm at the start despite the tailwind. Looks like the second 5, it starts to get a little choppy. I imagine in the third 5 even more so as the wind starts to pick up and bring the waves and chop up a little bit.
Sarah Craven handling the conditions with absolutely no trouble. And you've got the very distinctive green of Craftsbury. You've got Jenny McIlvaine hanging in there as well.
Does look like Jenny's getting balanced around a little bit by the conditions. May be why Sarah's able to be holding her lead handily. Again, lane 5, I think lane 5 has done quite well so far today. This our 4th final of the day. Tough to say whether that's necessarily conditions, but these are also all seeded athletes, so they've all come through and been top performing crews out of semis or heats.
Sarah with a commanding lead over top of Christy Bushman.
Yeah, by my watch, that's 5 seconds, so she's actually added almost doubled her lead in just that second 500 meter mark. Sarah Craven doing a really good job so far, halfway through this, the women's under 23 lightweight single.
Definitely a different story of the conditions between the first half of the race and the second half of the race. And it's a water sport. Anything can happen. And it's just how you manage yourself a little bit, I think. So hopefully Sarah stays on top of her game here, stays rowing with those nice long strokes, and keeps moving her boat smart through the last 1,000 meters of this race.
Yeah, you can see here she's just coming up to that red buoy that's going to mark halfway through this 500-meter point. So she's going to be able to hear the fans on the sideline on the island here. They're going to be cheering for her. I'm sure all the other clubs, friends, programs, any parents on the island, they're going to be cheering for their athletes, cheering for their friends, the people they know, the people they train beside. Pretty fun, exciting atmosphere down here on the Henley Island.
Exciting for Sarah as well. She's traveled all the way here from Victoria. Certainly, it's a long way to come, and it looks like it's going to pay off for her.
You know, it is a long way to come, about 4,000 kilometers. Can take a couple days to drive.
We're happy to have you from the West Coast, Brent.
Yeah, I'm happy to be home here in St. Catharines, but yes, I'm enjoying my time in British Columbia myself. As we come through this final 500-meter mark, Sarah Craven just extending her lead, I would say, doing a really good job as the water continues to pick up. Nice and long, really hitting her finish, cleanly stepping out, not really showing any sort of response to the water, and just really stepping away from the rest of the field.
She certainly makes it look easy, and I'm sure she's put in a lot of work to get to this point, but she's controlling that race and watching everything else unfold behind her. At this point, she's probably starting to think about her celebration, maybe just a little bit, but hopefully not prematurely.
Hopefully not. I mean, I've certainly, on occasion, been in a position like this, and in my experience, it's less thinking about the celebration, and it's more thinking about just hang on. Don't do anything wrong. Make sure everything you've done so far in this race, you keep it going. You just want to make sure when you've got a lead like that, you've got to be extra careful. You don't want to repeat any of those, American football highlight reel end of the year bloopers where they get the 99-yard return and then drop it at the 1-yard line.
It looks like there's not going to be a TSN turning point, but Jenny McIlvaine definitely putting on a
Pushing
solid
up. She's
finish.
pushing up. Does look like she is getting bounced around again still by the water, but she's pushing up, certainly trying to close that gap.
Sarah's got less than 200 meters to go. She just has to hang on, and it looks like she's responding. She hasn't increased her rate very much, but she's definitely putting the power down. Watch her knees as she just drives straight down the boat. Every single stroke.
Really clean drive there out of Sarah. Not that surprising given the performance she's had so far. That is some really clean rowing out of Sarah Craven from University of Victoria.
Well, if this isn't a confidence booster for her going into the U21 Trans-Tasman Series, I don't know what is. She looks terrific.
And again, all our results here on the live stream at the Royal Canadian Henley Regatta are unofficial. Official results will be posted to regattamaster.com. But here we're watching Sarah Craven just cruise through the finish line ahead of her competitors in the women's under 23 lightweight single, and you had to wait until you saw another boat cross that finish line. Well done to Sarah. Even Jenny McIlvaine placing second from Craftsbury, still despite halfway through the race, fairly competitive field. Jenny did a really good job to separate herself and try and keep up with Sarah.
So winning time in that race, 7:32.4. Craftsbury 8 seconds back at 7:40.4.